Ariel and Belle, not just contenders for the best Disney princess, but also some of the most iconic, recognizable characters to ever grace our screens. So casting actors to portray those roles in live action is quite the task. Those are some big shoes to fill. And Disney ended up casting Emma Watson as Belle in 2017's live action adaptation of Beauty and the Beast, and Halle Bailey as Ariel in 2023's live-action adaptation of The Little Mermaid. One of these casting decisions, I believe, was bad and detrimental to the movie, while the other, I believe, was the best casting choice that Disney has ever made for a live-action film, and it actually elevated the movie substantially. Can you guess which is which? I'll give you a hint. The one who I think is a very bad casting choice was welcomed with enthusiasm and open arms by the general public when she was announced in the role. And the one who I think is a perfect casting choice, and there's absolutely no way anybody could have played that role better than her, she was met with extreme, ugly, hateful backlash. If you look beneath the surface, I'm pretty sure you can guess which is which. It's almost as if people don't care about how mediocre you are as long as you're white. But hold up. I'm gonna get into the irony of the situation and how people can overlook so many factors when it comes to playing an iconic role, but they just can't overlook the shade of someone's skin. Their brains short-circuit whenever they see a person of color where they didn't expect to, even if that person of color is more than qualified to be in that space. Okay, so I'm not going to be comparing or talking about the acting abilities of these two ladies because this isn't a debate of who is the stronger actor, though I would argue they're roughly on the same level. This is strictly about who fits their role and who doesn't, who brings the character to life gloriously and who just is there. I have no hate for anyone I'm going to be talking about, so yeah, Emma Watson as Belle. When this casting was announced, I was pretty excited like everybody else, though I didn't think she looked like the character as much as someone like Lily Collins or Anne Hathaway, who was too old for the role anyway. I grew up with her in the Harry Potter series, where she played an intelligent bookworm living in an enchanted castle, so it was very easy for me to accept her as that character, at least conceptually, before I saw any footage. And yeah, it was a very digestible casting choice for the general public, very easy to swallow. The parallels between Belle and Hermione Granger are apparent, and especially the fact that she's a white woman with brown hair and brown eyes. The general public is just gonna accept that. They won't bat an eye. However, even though she sounds like a solid choice on paper, when actually seeing her in the role, she is just not a strong fit. The director Bill Condon said that he and Disney never thought of or considered anybody else for the role other than Emma Watson. They immediately decided they wanted her, and they offered her the part without looking at any other actresses. And yeah, they completely overestimated her. I like Emma Watson, but just because she is an intelligent, Caucasian, brown-haired feminist who knows her way around a fantasy castle doesn't mean she can effectively bring the character of Belle to life. Belle has a wide-eyed wonder, charm, and charisma to her that Emma Watson just doesn't project at all. Her presence is so flat, lifeless, stiff, dull, and the biggest elephant in the room is that she's not a singer at all, and required heavy auto-tune, which ended up making her sound even more robotic. Imagine a world where the casting department actually auditioned other actresses and went with the best for the role. They could have discovered the next Judy Garland, who could have brought a sense of magic to the character, and I'm afraid there's absolutely no way on earth Emma Watson would have ever been cast in this part if she was an unknown actor. No way. Take away any knowledge you have of her real-life persona, and there's just nothing strong enough she possesses to win that role. But we nod our heads and say, okay, because at least she's white. Now, I'm not saying that people didn't criticize her in the role, because after seeing the film, many people agreed that she was miscast. But the thing is, even if people were underwhelmed by Emma Watson in the film, she never got any extreme backlash. She never got straight up hate. She never became a major controversy. People were generally able to overlook that she didn't possess some essential qualities of the character. She was able to get away with less than the bare minimum, and it's not like the MTV Movie Awards are prestigious or anything, but she won Best Actor at the MTV Movie Awards for playing Belle, even though her presence actually hurt the film and held it down. She was forced into these shoes that just didn't fit her, and I've heard from industry chatter that the filmmakers really struggled bringing the Belle out of her, trying to stuff her in those shoes. On the other hand, Halle Bailey was one of hundreds who auditioned to play Ariel in the live-action Little Mermaid, and according to the director Rob Marshall, her audition set the bar and nobody ever surpassed it. She proved to be the best fit, and that's very clear to see if you watched the film. She completely embodies that character to the fullest degree, with bubbly charm and fiery passion, and she feels like the Ariel we all know, but also adds an ethereal, otherworldly, siren-like quality to her that brings something truly special and fresh to the table. And of course the biggest factor here is her entrancing singing voice, which is just beyond magical and filled with so much emotion and spirit. It makes the biggest difference in the world to have an actual singer singing these iconic songs and doing so in such a heavenly manner. I could gush for days on end about how glorious it is to finally see such a home run of a casting decision in one of these live-action films. But ironically, it was the most controversial casting by far, and was disappointingly yet expectedly met with extreme backlash. Nasty, cruel, hateful backlash. All because Halle Bailey doesn't have the exact shade of skin as the animated Ariel, despite possessing every other quality and more. And if I had to write down every quality of Ariel, the tint of her skin would rank at the very bottom of that list. Yet, it seems to be such a deal breaker for so many others, which is quite sad because it's such a minor difference, and those same people have had no problem with legitimately drastic changes made to the past live-action Disney characters. And I think it was evidently very necessary for certain people to be challenged in this way, for them to be confronted with the fact that they so easily accepted that Belle lost all her charisma and expression as well as her dazzling singing voice and had become British, that live-action Cinderella had brown eyes instead of blue, her hair was completely different, her dress was a deep royal blue instead of silver, she was portrayed by a natural brunette, and she had also become British, and that every Disney live-action character differed from the animated counterpart to varying degrees without any sort of backlash. Yet skin color is where people draw the line when it comes to bringing a beloved character to life. Well, I guess maybe it isn't where they draw the line, considering the people complaining about Ariel had nothing to say about a half-Caucasian, light-skinned actress with European features playing Princess Jasmine in Aladdin, and they certainly don't mind that the same goes for the actress that was just cast as Nani in the live-action Lilo and Stitch. Because people of color are interchangeable for a lot of these ignorant civilians. The amount of times I've seen people fan cast Jenna Ortega as Princess Tiana and Zendaya as Moana shows that they really don't care about skin color or cultural authenticity as long as a non-white person is not portraying a traditionally white character. And a major reason why this is the case is because white has always been the standard in Hollywood, while people of color are sidelined, stereotyped, whitewashed, or completely absent. And when a non-white character is being cast, the casting directors almost always favor lighter skin and more European features, and don't tend to care about accuracy, racially or ethnically, to make them more digestible for Western audiences. Or they just choose a straight-up white person to play the character. Not just in the past, but recently I've seen Scarlett Johansson play an Asian, Jake Gyllenhaal play a Persian, Johnny Depp and Rooney Mara play indigenous characters, just to name a few, and the people who are vocally negative about the Ariel casting were very quiet when these films came out. Most of the movies and pieces of media that exist in the world and have been immortalized forever on film don't represent people of color in a positive way. That's just the truth, and there's a lot of making up to do for it. So many more types of films need to be put out into the world, especially films that don't treat skin color as a limitation, because it always has been for non-white people. People of color should be able to step into spaces and roles that they've always been restricted from and have that escapism, have that moment to shine, have that validation, have that knowledge that they can be their favorite Disney princess. White people just don't exist in the same context in this world as people of color. So if you'd like to think it'd be a double standard for me to condemn a white person playing a character who's traditionally not white, your argument would hold no weight. There is no double standard if there isn't an equal playing field. Colorism and whitewashing is a real issue that has always existed and continues to exist in Hollywood, continuing to take away the very few roles from people of color, especially those with darker skin and less European features. I truly hope people begin to understand the nuances of these types of situations because it's really sad, to be honest. Bottom line is Halle Bailey is the perfect Ariel, and Emma Watson is far from the perfect Belle. And I don't see how any logical person could argue that if they've seen both of their respective films. And if they have and still don't believe so, then it is very likely that the issue for you is skin color. Skin color is blinding you from seeing what's there, and once you allow yourself to break down that barrier, I think you will be a much more pleasant, thoughtful, open-minded, open-hearted individual, and hopefully, if more people are challenged in this way, then we will view others in a way different from how the media we consume has previously trained us to look at the world. So, that's all I have to say for now. I love you. Some of you. Goodbye.